You have the flood, and then you have the ages of these people drops off pretty radically and then becomes a normal age like human beings.
Yeah.
And we look at that and we go, oh, that's just myth back then.
Yeah.
Until it's history. And it's the same texts, like in the same depictions of these kings, where they have accepted dates, the 5,000 year ago, 4,000 year ago kings. Well, yeah, that guy was real.
Yeah.
But these other ones that lived for 3,600 years, no, that's not real.
Same with the Jains, like I was talking about earlier. There are 24 Tirthankaras. All 24 have lived, according to the Jains, but archaeology has only recognized the last 2 of them. Because those were the only, the timelines and their lifespans, that kind of fits. But when you talk about the way back days, that's just myth.
What do they say their timelines were?
Oh, millions of years. And the first Tirthankara was over a mile tall.
Oh my God.
So it's just, but it's consistent across the world. The Jains talk about it, the Hindus, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Bible, all of them talk about very long lifespans, giant statures. Is it coincidence that all of our ancient myths talk about the same things?
Right.
Or might it have been true?
Yeah. Well, then there's the Book of Enoch, which is Anna Paulina Luna turned me onto that. She's like, you got to read that. And I read it twice now. And I'm like, this is the most bizarre depiction of a human story.
Yep.
The Watchers came down and mated with the daughters of men and created the Nephilim, who were giants who destroyed and consumed everything and were wiped out by the flood. What?
And the accepted biblical texts barely hint at that. They still talk about it.
Yes.
But the extra biblical canon the stories are much more like the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
There's a reason I think that those were excluded from the Bible.
Well, they were excluded by rabbis.
I know.
Because they didn't jive with the Torah, which is hilarious. Like you get to discuss, and they all were in the same caves in Qumran. Like the version of the Book of Enoch was in the same as the Book of Isaiah. They were all in the same scrolls.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
Yep.
How do you guys leave this out? Like, imagine if they taught that at church on Sunday. You'd be like, what are you saying?
Yeah. David and Goliath.
The Watchers?
I think it's interesting that you can totally accept that David and Goliath is a real story. And Goliath was a giant in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right?
How tall was he supposed to be, though? Couldn't he be like a really big guy from Iceland?
I think he was described. They described the way that the Hebrews described it is that they made them feel like grasshoppers.
Whoa.
The giants, the Nephilim, made them feel, they were like, we are as if we are grasshoppers. So I think that they were meant to be very, very large.
It would be really nice if they found a Bigfoot somewhere.
Oh, my God. I love Bigfoot.
Not a Bigfoot, not the animal.
Oh.
I mean, like a giant foot, like a stone.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
David and Goliath. So he was supposed to be 10 feet tall, often calculated as roughly 9 to 10 feet tall. The thing about that is like, people are full of shit and they can make up a story. The guy was so big, he was 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, he could have been like the mountain from Game of Thrones.
Totally.
Like a real person.
Yep.
Maybe 6.5 feet tall.
Any of our basketball players today.
Who says he was 6.5 feet tall? Scholars?
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Dead Sea Scrolls. So 6 cubits in a span, often calculated as roughly 9 to 10 feet tall. In the ancient Hebrew text, Greek and Dead Sea Scrolls texts say 4 cubits in a span. So that's only 6.5 to 7.5 feet tall, depending on how the cubit was defined. So that makes sense. So who knows?
9 to 10 is pretty big.
Yeah, 9 to 10 is big. But if the Dead Sea Scrolls are correct, then it's only 6.5 feet. So he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
That's not even a really tall one.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest basketball player now? How tall are they?
There's a kid that's like 14 that's almost 8 feet tall.
What?
I don't know if he's going to make it to the NBA or anything, but...
Just plop it into
Oh my
the
God,
hoop.
that's so crazy. That's so big. So you got to imagine. But you got to imagine with technology. So they're working right now on life extension technology, and they've already figured out a way to reverse the age of skin cells, and they're on their path to being able to stop human aging
Yeah.
and maybe potentially even reverse it. If that technology becomes implemented,
This kid's 7'9" now.
jeez,
20 years old though. He's actually playing basketball, but
jeez.
it's huge.
So he's bigger than Goliath by a lot. Goliath would talk shit about him. Write a story about it. He got his ass kicked by a basketball player. But if you can imagine this technology being implemented in the future and then being refined and then getting to a point where they really have it mastered, like we have with so many medical interventions that we have today, you could get to a point where someone could live to 1,000 years or several thousand years. And if you're the king, of course you're going to want that technology. And you're also going to be very protected, so you don't have to worry about dying in other ways unless somebody usurps you.
Yeah.
So you can, like, the Sumerian kings list and some of these, like the Zep Tepi list, you look at that and you go, well, what are they saying? Like, why was this guy 6,000 years old?
Yeah.
How did he rule the country for 30,000 years? That sounds insane.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound insane if they master biological aging, which is not impossible. It's not impossible. Not only is it not impossible, they're actively working on technology that's going to allow that to happen in our lifetime.
You think it's going to happen in our lifetime?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The human quest for immortality.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think you're going to extend life. You're going to extend biological life in a significant manner, and maybe, for the sake of looking at things through rose-colored glasses, maybe that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because one of the things about humans is we barely have enough time to figure out how much of life is bullshit.
Yeah.
While you're wrapped up in it, and then if you have responsibilities, you get married, you have a family, you have a mortgage, you have a bunch of... There's no time to recognize how fruitless a lot of your thinking and behavior and how stupid a lot of the things that people concentrate on. But as you get older and older, you get better at it. I'm way better at it now than I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Way better at life. I would imagine I'm going to be better still 20 years from now, unless I'm decrepit. So 20 years from now, I could be all worn out and my back hurts and get off my lawn. You get stupid.
Not in my backyard.
Right. You get goofy. You get
Yeah.
goofy because you get old and sad and, you're not healthy anymore. But if you were 80 years old and healthy like a healthy 30-year-old.
You're wise at that point.
Yeah. Well, then you have immense amount of life experience.
Totally.
And then if you live another 100 years on top of that, you go, oh my God, I was so stupid when I was 80. Back when I was 80, I thought I had it nailed. But now that I'm 180, now I see.
The question is, if your lifespan is expected to be 200 years, then do you work until you're 160? So does it just expand the
Right.
stages that we're all going through now and you just work longer?
Well, it depends on what work is. So if work is your love, why not? Right?
Totally.
It really depends on what work is. So if it's hard labor, that doesn't sound fun. I don't want to be an 800-year-old roofer. That seems like, geez, my hands would
But
be
if
so
you're going to
tired.
live to 1,200 years, you've
Yeah.
still got a long retirement.
Well, I think retirement's out the window if you can stay healthy. Because the whole idea of retirement is like, why are we retiring? We're retiring because we hate our jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe if you loved your job, you wouldn't want to retire.
Totally.
George Carlin died on the road. He died in a hotel room, I think in Las Vegas.
And you hear lots of stories of people working their entire careers, retiring, and then promptly dying.
Oh, yeah. No
Within
purpose.
6 months, they have
Yeah.
a heart attack and they die. And they had all these big plans and they just never see them through.
Yeah, and they just feel like the end is near, and that the creeping doom, the existential angst in the back of your head is probably contributing to a lot of your decay.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like checked out. That happens a lot with spouses. The husband dies and the wife dies shortly thereafter. My grandparents, my grandmother died and my grandfather died within a year.
Yeah. Yep.
you
That's
know.
what happens when the woman dies first.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much harder for the man to live without her.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Why is that?
I mean, if you think of all the old widows, the women live. My grandpa died 15 years ago, and my grandma's 93. She's still living. She's still going.
That's interesting.
She knew how to cook for herself and clean and things like that. But had it been reversed, I'm not sure that he would have lived that long.
Maybe.
So,
Depends on the relationship. So I see a lot of relationships with older couples where the woman becomes like the caretaker.
yeah.
I think dudes get dumber quicker when they get older. So
No comment.
they're just worn out by the time they hit 80. A lot of times the wife tells them things like, okay, you're right. And then they just like fall into that role where the wife is in charge of everything.
Have you seen the stats of the expected lifespan of a man that's married versus not married?
No.
Jamie, I don't know these off the top of my head, but they've done studies that talk about basically the lifespan extension that happens with men when they have a woman in their life.
Is it longer?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, then when there's no woman, then it's filled with cocaine and hookers. So that
exactly.
also takes years off your life.
And lots of burgers and beer. You know, you're not eating a salad.
Right.